had a very sound bat who thrives in that part-time role. And honestly, I think they got him on a great deal. I think the 2 years, 24, 12 per is a fantastic deal for a Mitch Garver, which, one, he's got the injury history. You don't really know what you're going to get with him in terms of availability. But two, when he does play, like he did this year, 344 plate appearances, he hit 270 with 19 home runs and 50 RBIs, which, I mean, in just 344 plate appearances, not too shabby. And he's a guy that, you know, he can also be your backup catcher. You just worry about the health there. But, you know, as a DH, as that second catcher, he's more than serviceable. And look, the Rangers declined to give him the qualifying offer because it was north of $20 million. And that would have been a lot for a one-year deal. I don't blame them there, but it's kind of been the theme of this Rangers offseason that it's been very quiet. And we kind of didn't expect it. And we've been talking about it for weeks. And, you know, I'll take my flowers here and say I tried to warn everyone that the whole Bally Sports, you know, RSN fees situation, that was going to have a lot to do with how the Rangers go forward this winter. And it's all because the projected number they were due in 2023 from Diamond Sports Group, the parent company of Bally Sports, was over $110 million. That's a lot of money in 1 year. And you talk about a team whose payroll wasn't even too far ahead of that figure. You're talking about well over half of the payroll. Theoretically, I know they get tons of money from other stuff. I know people are going to say that, but if you just look at the numbers and compare apples to apples, that's more than half of the payroll being paid for in 2023 by TV rights alone. And the uncertainty that lies ahead of are they even going to be on Bally Sports this year has obviously played a factor in Ray Davis and Chris Young's spending, as they haven't really done much of anything. It's been some sleeper deals. It's been some minor league deals. They made 7 of them today, I believe. I will get you up to date on those. But with a Mitch Garver who really contributed, especially in that Baltimore series in the postseason, hitting that grand slam, that was a much-needed impact in that series. Plus, he provided valuable depth behind Jonah Heim because Sam Huff hasn't exactly developed into the monster power hitter that you expected him to be, which, to his credit, he probably got called up a few times too early for, you know, those losing seasons in the COVID year even. He probably made a couple of appearances that he wasn't ready for. Might have stunted his development a little bit, but there's two ways to look at the Mitch Garver development. It's, hey, a great opportunity for a Sam Huff to step up, or for them to go add a veteran catcher behind Jonah Heim that won't cost much of anything, but a guy that you know can get the job done, kind of like they did a couple of years ago when they went and got a guy like Tim Fedorovich. You know, just a guy that will get the job done. You don't expect him to swing the bat well at all. You just need a good defender like Austin Hedges was. You know, analytically was one of the best defending catchers in all of Major League Baseball, but he, you know, we all know he was abysmal at the plate.
Remember when he had that huge plate appearance like late in the game? Everyone was like, this would be great story if he could get a hit right here. He just struck out.
I would have gave someone $50 if he made it on base. But
he made contact with the ball.
And he's a guy that left in free agency as well. He went back to Cleveland where he started his career. So you're starting to see it's not marquee players. Mitch Garver was important, especially in the postseason, but it's not impact players, but it's guys. And what's something, especially in the bullpen, you talked about during the season that you didn't have? Depth. You didn't have reliable guys behind X, Y, and Z.
And see, I think that's why this happened. I'm going to say two things to put this all in context. When you win a championship in pro sports, everybody wants to get paid. Everybody thinks that they had their piece in the pie. Everybody's money goes up a little bit. No matter if you were the backup catcher, you were the 7th-string pitcher, if you're the 4th-string center on a basketball team. Don't matter. Everybody thinks that they deserve their money. So the price goes up. And then my second point of context is there is a reason that Mark Cuban is no longer the majority stakeholder. He said, talking before the game, needed more money in here. Media ain't the same anymore. We don't have the same money coming in from these streaming services. And obviously that the Rangers haven't been able to figure out a deal when it comes to that payroll that Alec was referring to. Some money is going to be lost. Now, Ranger fans, do you want us to have one of the better DHs and backup catcher, or would you rather have better pitching depth? which is obviously more of a concern. Because I think in that DH spot, catcher, like Alex said, you can kind of fill anybody in there to kind of fill some games. And then you still got young guys. We still got Duran. We still got Langford that might came up. Foskey, we were talking about Harris. Like, there's some guys that can fill that spot. We saw Jankowski. Like, it's not a thing where you have to have Mitch Garver there and then the whole rest of the team is going to be depleted. I'm fine with them spending that money elsewhere. Obviously, the price point was a little bit higher than they were wanting to pay for him. And I'm glad he got his bag. Garv Sauce was amazing. Loved him here. But, you know, when you win a championship, it's very hard to keep a team together. So I'm not surprised about this move. Somebody's going to, I don't want to say overpay, but maybe give a little bit more than value is expected. You know, he's 32, had it coming off a good postseason, good second half of the year. But I'm sure that Chris Young and Boach and all them boys have some other sleeve. They have a reason that they didn't pursue as hard.
From Lasso on the Twitch, no salary cap in MLB, so it's all excuses, AM. I don't think it's all excuses because this money is definitely in question now.
Salary cap means you can spend as much as you want. Doesn't mean you're giving free
money.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that you're printing money. Exactly. And I think that, you know, things are a little bit different if you were able to land a Shohei Ohtani, where you know you're going to get tons of ad revenue out of it. If those TV rights revert back to the team and to the league, you can go get all the advertising deals you want in the world. Now, you kind of have to do all the heavy lifting yourself in terms of making that money if it happens. Right now, the Rangers are still under contract with Bally Sports. That's still happening as of right now. We know because we've heard through reports that Bally Sports would love to get out of paying that fee for the 2024 season. They would absolutely love to not give up those millions.
And let's just remember, last season had injuries on top of injuries. I can't name like 3 players that played other than Simeon the entire year. So Rangers fans, do not be afraid by a guy leaving the lineup, because guys had to be next man up the entire season. That's kind of what our season was. Playing on the road, next man up. I mean, arguably our best hitter went down in the biggest series of the Rangers franchise in recent memory, and we still were able to win it. So I don't think this is something that all of a sudden the Rangers are not going to be contenders because they lost Mitch Garver. I do think it'll be replaced with other people. So we saw the emergence, like I said, of Carter. You got still some young guys to come up. You still got Duran and Jankowski there. So there'll be some guys to fill those holes, but obviously they want to spend their money, I would presumably think, on pitching.
And they haven't done absolutely nothing, just nothing flashy off the paper. I mean, they did bring in a guy like Kirby Yates, who is a guy that Bruce Bochy is familiar with his time in the National League. He saw him pitch and managed against him. He knows what he's got. He's a leverage guy that's closed before. Obviously, he's not a closer anymore for a reason, but he's a guy that, you know, with the right coaching, you know, and the right help, the right support system, you might see at least thrive as a good middle inning guy. And then Tyler Mahle, a guy that isn't going to pitch for probably the first part of the season, maybe all the way throughout the summer, because he's coming off of Tommy John. But this is a guy that they took a bargain deal on, just 2 years, I think $24 million. Yep. And he's a starting guy that might actually pay off pretty well for you. It's kind of like an Andrew Heaney, where they gave him, you know, about market value and said, look, here's a couple years. We'll see what happens. And if it works out well, then we got one hell of a deal out of you. So they're making moves here and there. And even just today, they were able to sign a few guys, seven minor league deals that were given out, non-roster invites, but training camp invites. Still, like a veteran reliever was in there, a guy that you saw play for the Mariners for a few years, and Diego Castillo. So they're doing some things, like Jesus Tinoco is a name that if you actually watch the games when the team sucked, you'll remember that name. But Castillo had a 24-18 record with 35 saves and a 3.22 ERA over 6 big league seasons with Tampa Bay and Seattle most recently, with opponents hitting only 200 against him. So this is a guy that, you know, you give him that non-roster invite and say, look, you have a chance with nothing to lose here. You're not even on the roster right now. If you go out there and you pitch your ass off, then you're going to make this team, and we're going to count on you.
And fans, we want splash. We want the big names. We want the things that bring in the eyeballs. And sometimes the teams that just do the regular pickups, the ones that don't make headlines, they're just a quick report, end up being those guys that, like you said, with a Heaney, Dunning, those kind of guys that no one's really talking about. I think we did this the last time we were talking about the Rangers. The team with the highest payroll has only won the World Series one time in the last 10 years, and that was the Red Sox in 2018. So just having the biggest payroll, just having all the marquee guys, just bringing back everybody that you run it back with usually doesn't pan out. And I can't remember, when was the last time we had a back-to-back winner? It was the Yankees, right? A while ago.
Yeah, turn of the century.
Yeah. So don't get your hopes up just thinking, oh, we're just going to bring the team back and everything will fall into place. A lot of things went right for the Rangers to win. I mean, they went undefeated on the road. That's very hard to do. So they're trying their best to hold this team together.
From the 830, woo, minor league pickups. Without Bochy having the spheres to bring Carter up, we wouldn't have even sniffed the ALCS. From the 830 as well, we are a Tommy John recovery center at this point.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
I mean, we can't really disagree with that. But, hey, whenever you are at least constricted in what you're trying to do right now in your mind, you know, you take the low-risk, high-upside guys and you see what you can do with them. And it's happened a couple times with this team. I'm not trying to, you know, say it's all rainbows and sunshine with what the team has done, because honestly, I am a little bit worried because I expected more deals to come together. I didn't think they were going to land Shohei Ohtani 100%. I thought they had a chance to be in the running because I thought it made a lot of sense. But, you know, there were other key names like Josh Hader, like Blake Snell, so on and so forth. A couple of DH options out there that I thought would be in play for the Texas Rangers that clearly, as of today, just aren't exactly in the cards.